Welcome to This Week in the World of Wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. And this Lucha Underground, man, was freaking excellent. I was so into it. Ashton seemed so into it. We got some quality matches, some interesting storyline progression, including the final cinematic vignette, which we will get to in our formal review. Just so much seemed to happen. I'm telling you, and I know I've said this many times before, I'll only stop saying it when it stops being true. Lucha Underground is so consistently productive with just 1 hour of television a week. It is unbelievable, dude. This episode was phenomenal. What do you think of it?
This episode was so freaking good. Oh my god. We had 3 awesome matches and so much storyline progression. And the best thing to me, 2 best things. First of all, Mil versus Matanza happened and we did not get a conclusive finish, which is amazing because obviously that means, hey, guess what, guys? We're going to get it again. And also, they set up 2 huge matches for next week's episode.
Insanity, dude.
Guys,
Absolute
I have
insanity.
been spending the last month and a half or so comparing episodes of Lucha Underground to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This week's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was amazing, but it also felt like it was like a one-trick pony because it was a really good, like, B-plus episode until the end, and then there was something that happened at the end that made it amazing. Lucha Underground this week was an A to A-plus throughout the entire show. So yet again, even though Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. steps up yet again, Lucha Underground just keeps on moving forward and in an upward direction. They're just so amazing.
And that's just it, dude. I mean, for Lucha Underground, there's no stepping up. It's just remaining consistent, and if anything, like you said, going upward. And that's what this product does. And, you know, it's funny because I said on our Raw TWitWoW, in regards to the ending, you know, Ambrose versus Kevin Owens at the subsequent Jericho attack, you know, I'll cut them some slack because it was taped and it was in London and, like, all these different tours. But still, one of the big things I came back to is it doesn't really seem to, despite being this long-running episodic series, have mastered the hook. Lucha Underground has mastered the hook successfully because, to your point, 2 stupendous matches with very high stakes got announced for next week. So not just 1 hook, in case you know that wasn't enough to grab people, but 2. And, of course, the overall storyline progression, very, very interesting. So,
right, and I think a lot of that hook value has to do with the fact that it's the format, because not only is it a 1-hour show, so they can really tease you with what they're going to do the next week, but there are no pay-per-views, so they can basically give you pay-per-view worthy television every single week.
exactly, because like we've been saying, guys, a match like Matanza versus Mil Muertes, that could headline Ultima Lucha 2, and I would believe it instantly. I would have no umbrage with it, whatever. We got it on TV tonight, and we're going to be going over it. It's just crazy, dude, and you're absolutely right. Having no pay-per-views, and just the type of structure that Lucha Underground has just been so wonderful. I wouldn't
I
want
wonder
any kind
if
of television, but
WWE would abandon the television / pay-per-view model and just do like what Lucha Underground's doing, but rather than having to be on the El Rey network, they would have their own network that they get money for on the
Right.
WWE network, and just do, I mean, even if you do want to have it 3 hours, like, I wonder if the WWE, if the quality of the product would improve at all if they were television only, but it wasn't even television, it was just WWE network only, because then they're like forcing people to buy the network in order to see the product. Or if it's just like they make that much money from advertisers on their TV show that they can't afford to abandon that model.
Right, and you know, you may see it down the road. You know, it's funny you bring that up because I could see if the WWE Network would get enough subscribers to really be sustainable, they could do a switch to just all WWE programs on the WWE Network.
And if they would do that, they
system.
could easily afford to abandon the pay-per-view model, except for maybe like having, like what Lucha Underground does with Ultima Lucha. They could have WrestleMania once a year, and that would be their big like blow off to all their stories and stuff like what Lucha Underground does, but then they could just do their 3-hour Raws every week. And even then, because they're on the WWE Network, they could afford to go back to 2 hours, because then they wouldn't need that third hour for advertising.
Exactly. So, I really do think that Lucha Underground's model, it's setting an example for other companies and
Yeah.
potentially the WWE. And I mean, you can see why, because Lucha Underground consistently yields fantastic results with the way that it does television, and tonight was no exception.
And I think that the
So,
model, as good as it is, you can't pull it off if you can't put on amazing television, and that's something Lucha Underground knocks out of the park every single week.
dude, it's becoming too easy for them, I think. It's
Yeah.
like, you're going to give me a curveball anytime? Anybody?
Well,
No,
the curveballs are part of what makes it amazing.
Yeah, right. No, I'm just talking in terms of like competition. Like, there just seems to
Right.
be no competition compared to like what else is going to knock it out of the park.
Oh,
And
yeah.
honestly, we have to go beyond that, because the parallels you like to use is Lucha Underground and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, they're both television, but it's not even wrestling, because mostly with wrestling, the only competitor, honestly, in my eyes, to Lucha Underground that I thoroughly enjoy, especially after Invasion Attack, would be New Japan.
And
I
that's in a
still feel
different
like
freaking country.
exactly,
It's
in
on a different freaking
country.
continent.
Exactly, different freaking continent. And really, it's just not the same thing, because Lucha Underground, as we've said, many times, and I think you were the first one, to say it, it's a television show about wrestling, and you see the difference. Like, people may even ask, if you would use that on them, they'd be like, well, what's the difference? And you watch a few episodes and you see the overall narrative that they're constructing with these cinematic vignettes, with the outcomes of certain matches, and they're like, oh, okay, because these overarching stories, dude, are insane. Very intrigued by the closing cinematic we got tonight. And I think we got a lot to unpack, really, in every segment. I can't wait to go over this with you.
Absolutely, guys. Let's get into it. What do you think?
All right, let us get into our Lucha Underground review. I remembered it this time. We don't do freaking Heat of the Night, baby. Yeah! So how do we open this baby up, partner?
In Dario Cueto's office, and he is talking to Fenix, Drago, and Aero Star. And we're thinking, oh, these guys are going to be a trio. This is going to be so cool. But no. Cueto is on a whole different plane of thinking than us. So he says, Fenix, I'm going to put you in a team, but not with these folks. No, I'm going to put you in a team with PJ Black and Jack Evans. And Drago and Aerostar, you guys are both going to face each other for an ancient Aztec medallion to be a member of the Gift of the Gods.
And see, we got a lot to unpack already in this first cinematic, because one, Fenix getting to be in the trios tournament, not getting another chance in an Aztec medallion, I like, or at least not yet. He may get
not
a match
yet.
down the road.
But, if he, assuming his team doesn't win the trios titles next week, which is another huge bomb that got dropped on us, is that match is happening next week. It's probably safe to assume he'll still find his way into a medallion match.
Which is fine, but in the context of tonight, I really like that he got put in the trios tournament instead, because it's, okay, you exhausted your rematch clause, so this is your way of going to the back of the line, and it's not even that far back, because you're still Fenix, and you're one of the more credible guys in the temple, so you get to be in this tournament. Whereas Dario Cueto, the reason to me that he puts Drago and Aero Star together again, I mean, one, they do have the history from season 1, the best 5, this and that, but if you're looking at it psychologically from Dario Cueto's perspective, he probably sees that Drago and Aero Star have maintain this friendship. Aerostar's kind of had Drago's back with PJ Black and Jack Evans, who we'll get to, later tonight. And Dario Cueto probably wants to rekindle that friction, thinking about their best 5 series, like, oh, I want to see these guys fight again. I like it better when they're committing violence upon each other rather than protecting each other. So Dario Cueto, man, doing whatever he can. Because he even mentioned, that's why I think he made them face each other. He wanted to stir up those memories, because he said they didn't get along last year in the trios tournament. Because I think Fenix originally thought, oh, he's going to pair me with Drago and Aerostar. But Dario Cueto probably thought that Drago and Aerostar didn't deserve it because of how poorly they performed last year. So, there you go.
Great deductive reasoning, my friend.
There you go. Thank you very much, sir.
And I mean, hey, let's just keep the ball rolling. Our first match of the night is Aerostar versus Drago for the Aztec medallion.
I gotta tell you, I don't know if it's just me. I'd have to go back and watch some Aerostar season 1 matches, but he definitely seems to have been a bit flashier back in the ring, in season 2.
Dude, I'm telling you, he's been this way the whole time. You're just starting to notice it now.
Yeah, I feel like he did a lot more stuff tonight, though. Maybe that's it. Like, I felt like he just showed off more. It's not that he ever, started showing off. It's just, I think he showed off in a larger quantity tonight.
And I think that they highlighted the fact that he shows off so much because of the fact that he had that slip up on the rope.
Exactly.
Like, he's showing off too much, maybe.
Exactly. Just because you're in love with the cosmos doesn't mean you have to dazzle them as such.
Yeah.
Seriously, just stay focused, man. Keep your eye on the prize. But yeah, a fun matchup. And what I like about this is that, yes, we did get a lot of them together in season 1, but I do feel like they kept them apart sufficiently for season 2 that I didn't mind seeing this match, especially when you put a stake on it.
And and they still have awesome chemistry too.
Oh, they still have awesome chemistry, and I think you're always going to be hooked in when you know that there are stakes involved. Like, again, to your point, I know something you like to say a lot about certain matches on a Raw or SmackDown or whatever, just wrestling for purely wrestling's sake. There's a tangible stake here, and the winner goes to Ultimate Lucha 2, or sooner. Just, they get an Aztec medallion, and they get a Gift of the Gods opportunity. And, in the end, Aero Star does get the win. But one thing I wanted to bring up, guys, because I know those of you are probably checking out live reactions right now. I hope you're enjoying them. But Ashton here had a great point that he illuminated. He thought that Aerostar was going to go every week because we took bets early on. I said Drago. He said Aerostar for the purpose that he did have that time-traveling storyline, went and met up with one of the Aztec tribes early in the season.
Well, not only that, but also because Drago won the Best of 5 series, so it kind of felt like Aerostar was kind of, he was owed one almost.
Yeah, exactly. He was due for something. So between that storyline of him traveling back in time and conversing with the Aztec tribe, and we know the big revelations from that, gods in, the form of man are going to be coming to the temple and got to unite the tribes, and that's the big thing, right?
Yep.
Uniting the tribes, and he wins Gift of the Gods.
And maybe that's why Cueto is trying to keep them at each other's throats, because maybe Drago and Aerostar are 2 of the 7 tribe representatives that need to unite.
Yeah, that could very well be. Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, you might have.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, it was crazy. So you see that Aerostar wants to unite the tribes in the face of whatever threat is coming, and now he's got a medallion, and he will have to be Gift of the Gods champion because he'll be wielding the power, technically, of all the tribes come together. So honestly, as crazy as it may be to say, because it's not even entirely filled yet, I would call Aerostar an early favorite in this match, if for no other reason, for narrative purposes. But we'll see. We'll see if we can get it done.
Absolutely, man. Man. Aerostar having a medallion, it feels more exciting this year than it did last year, because last year it kind of felt like he only really won the medallion because they kind of needed that token crazy high spot guy, and it worked out pretty well because he probably had the most memorable moment in that match when he jumped from like 3 stories up onto 3 people.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you're correct there. And I think my thing is, this time around, the second season, Aerostar feels more grounded. Exactly. He has a sense of identity.
I don't know about grounded in the typical sense. I think just because, like, his whole gimmick is that he's not touching the ground,
Well, yeah, but I mean in the sense, like, he's got this time-traveling gimmick. He is doing stuff with it, apparently of great importance.
So maybe just fleshed out.
Yeah, fleshed out's a good term too. Just anything that says he's got nuance to him, he's got dimension to him, and that I think is what makes him having a medallion more exciting. Because in the first time, not saying that I kind of was off on him winning one last time, but it's just here's a guy that won a medallion simply to fill a space in a match. But now we know the implications are far wider this time, because it's you're gonna try and unite the tribes because that's what those medallions are representative of in the first place. Yes. Yeah, man, that's freaking
honestly
awesome.
I mean, as crazy as this may sound, given how sort of I would say minor a role he played in season 1, I almost have to find myself rooting for Aerostar to win the Gift of the Gods just to see where that leads.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed with the story that he's carrying on his back, and the thing is,
I want to see more time travel, man.
I want to see more time travel too, and the thing is, I gotta give credit to Lucha Underground for this, because I think they're doing this deliberately. If you think about it, I mean, I guess we've gotten little mentions of him visiting with the tribe here and there, but it really hasn't been like a big pronounced thing since the initial trip to May.
That one vignette, it seems like.
Yeah, and I think that they're doing that. They're trying to make us forget about it, because keep in mind, at the same time, he was volleying between that and looking out for Drago with PJ Black and Jack Evans.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think they're trying to make people forget that he had that meeting, and then like him being in Gift of the Gods, whether he wins it or not, I think we're going to get another big revelation about that, in a huge way. So I could see him win it, but then again, maybe they'll have him lose it, and then he's going to have to chase after it, because he's like, no, I needed to win, I needed to unite the tribes. So it could be an interesting remainder of the season for Aerostar. I think he's somebody that after this win, he's more on my radar now than I think he's been, well, ever since that vignette, actually. So yeah, Aerostar's in a good place for sure.
Yeah. Man, I'm excited though, because between that storyline and his alliance with Drago, which I don't know how fractured that is now after this, but this whole idea that he is from space and he can travel space and time. Maybe he is like the secret to taking down Matanza, because he knows that gods will be coming to Earth in the form of humans, and maybe he knows about Matanza too, because right now the only people that we're certain know about that are Rey Mysterio and El Dragon Azteca Jr.
Right, and all this unpacking that we've done with Aerostar's victory really illuminates to me another great point about Lucha Underground. They really know how to create stars, because I want to bring everybody's attention to something. For those of you that have been following TWitWoW for a while, first of all, thank you as always. But if you remember our Luchador Spotlights, when we talked about Aerostar, you and I, it's not that you and I were dismissive of him, because we never had a problem with him, at all, even in the first season. It's just we always kind of saw him as, yeah, he's got a cool attire, he's got a cool little thing going on, but I think he's just another luchador to show off the beauty that is Lucha Libre. Not really more depth than that, and we put him in like a battle royal. I didn't even have him on my card, I don't think. Either that or I had him in a very weak match, and yet look at what Lucha Underground has given him, because they've endowed him with this ability to time travel. And when you look at it from a narrative perspective, how they've utilized that power in such a huge way shows you the investment that Lucha Underground is making in Aerostar, for no other reason, storyline purposes, which I think is incredible, because again, we weren't dismissive by any means, but I didn't have him anywhere near a spot of this magnitude. And Lucha Underground's almost going all in with Aerostar, but I gotta say, I'm impressed, because to me, that's taking a guy. What were you gonna say?
No, you go ahead, finish.
No, I was going to say, you're taking a guy, because we mostly think about, the Pumas, the Phoenixes, all that. Aerostar's been a bit more low-key, always, having the good matches, whatever. And then this season, it's like, bam, pulling the rug out, putting their balls on the table, and they're like, let's see what Aerostar can do, let him be one of the bigger players. And so far, I think it's been very interesting, and really reflecting on it and us unpacking this match, that for anybody else is just a medallion match, but for Aerostar, it's so much more, because you could be talking about the fate of their universe, where all this is going on in general.
Yeah, dude. And I think one thing that I really like too is that they're kind of giving this highlight, this spotlight, whatever you want to call it, to a superstar on the rise, I guess you could say. Because if you really think about it, I wonder if any of the the Lucha Underground higher ups, whether Krista Joseph, Eric Van Wagenen, Mark Burnett, anybody, I wonder if or how many of those guys are fans of PWG. Because if you go back and you watch Aerostar's performances at PWG Bola 2015, he looked like a star there. Like, it was him and Pentagon that really stood out the most. And that's despite Drago and Fenix having both been in the tournament. So I feel like Aerostar having those performances in PWG might have even influenced the idea to really push his character. Then again, there's also the possibility that it was planned from the beginning and they just decided to kind of let him do his thing. And he's been this good all along, and they just wanted to kind of keep it a secret in season 1.
To me, with Lucha Underground, both options are equivalent. Just equivalent in their believability. I could believe either one, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm happy for Aerostar, because you know what? That's the thing. I almost feel like each season the question should now become whose stock is going to rise. And it's not even a singular person, because honestly, I'd say two people that were more undercard that are kind of like rising to the surface a little bit to me this season. Marty the Moth immediately comes to mind. And, Maury Post is kind of tagging along with him, because she's a beast too. And Aerostar, definitely. I mean, Matanza came in like a house of fire, but I'm talking about people really building on something from a prior season. And I think Aerostar and Marty have been the most impressive in that regard. So,
yeah, buddy. All right, guys. Let's move on. Up next, we have Johnny Mundo training, and he's doing his thing. He's training using one of those punching posts, and next thing you know, Taya shows up, and she tells Johnny that she demanded to Dario Cueto that Cueto give Mundo an Aztec medallion, and Mundo was just like, did you mention that I didn't even get an opportunity to win one last year? And she said, yeah, I did. And you're getting an opportunity this year. And Mundo was like disappointed, because he wasn't just going to get handed one. And then Taya was just like, but here's the thing. You have a match next week for a medallion. against Cage. And then Mundo was just like, oh, well, at least you'll be there to help me, right? And she's just like, not really, because it's going to be inside of a steel cage. So I heard you like containment devices, dog, because I put a cage inside your cage so you can contain while you contain.
You just did some serious word spitting right there, and I commend you, sir. But if I may cut in and kind of elucidate everything going on in the situation,
Elucidate
I think
your ass off, John.
you bet your sweet ass I will. First and foremost, people, I want you all to understand that what took place here in this segment was a little thing I like to call
Blasphemy?
justice. Well, we're getting to that. We're getting to that. But you're on the right track. You're on the right track. You're paying attention. I appreciate that. So,
I
first
just jumped
of all,
the gun a little bit. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's okay. It's cool. We're in a good space. We're in a good space. It's cool.
I want to know.
So yeah, first of all, justice, because I totally understand Johnny Mundo's disappointment. He should have just been handed one, because in case Lucha Underground forgets, which thank goodness I'm here, he took care of the trash that was Alberto El Patron last season. He came in and he thought he was classing up your temple. He was a bitch. Alberto Del Bitchbag, remember? Yeah. Who took care of him? Johnny Mundo. Because what happened? Oh yeah, he beat him at the first Ultima Lucha. Okay, he was the main event as far as I'm concerned. So he should have been handed one, but it's cool. It's cool. He gets a match. Against Cage, that to me is even better, because finally, that dolt, that imbecile, that, oh my God, just gets me so mad. He is finally going to learn what it means.
I believe that your preferred phrase to describe Cage is hapless gorilla.
Yeah, hapless gorilla. I am fond of that one. Just a clod, just an absolute freaking clod, just a waste of space. But it's okay, because Cueto putting Cage and Mundo in the same ring together is a great learning experience for Cage, because now he gets to be across the ring from somebody that's superior to him in every way. And maybe if he really is a machine, he'll have enough intelligence side of him to take a fucking note. And the final point, I actually didn't know that Dario Cueto was a comedian, because if he honestly thinks that some rinky steel cage can keep the friendship of Taya and Johnny Mundo at bay, and I'm going to be wearing my t-shirt, which will automatically radiate all the way, to where the cage is and just weaken the bars.
All the way across the country to Boyle Heights.
Exactly. Weaken those bars. I'll be able to break them off, and then friendship is going to knee Cage in the fucking face. I am going to fraud at the mouth. Mundo's going to win the medallion, and then you might as well give him the championship, because to do otherwise, honestly, it's not even, what, you don't think I don't know that it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to win? Just save everybody's time and give him the belt. But, I mean, that's just me. So I want to commend Dario Cueto for doing the right thing. But, that whole steel cage business, I get that you're trying to be cute. You're not a big deal. You're a big bitch. All right? Know your place. So, what did you think, Ashton?
I just wanted to leave that to you, man. You handled that.
I am so glad that you trusted me and that I carried the ball, because Johnny Mundo does that on a weekly basis, and this is the thanks he gets for it. So
you totally pulled a Devontae Freeman there, man. You carried that ball across the goal line with no blocking help whatsoever.
Yeah. All right, we're good.
Going Barry Sanders up in this bitch.
Yeah. So
all right,
next?
Now up next was the second match of the night, a trios match: Fenix, Jack Evans, and PJ Black versus the Disciples of Death, with Catrina at ringside, and this match was a freaking barn burner.
I've got to say, dude, now that I'm reflecting back on our reactions during this match, Jack Evans, PJ Black, and Fenix may already be my favorite trio, and they've only had one match together. I just love the antics that they had, stealing tags each other. The way they'd make tags, I thought was impressive shit. I'm like, oh my God, this is only their first match. And I feel like that's some next level tagging shit right there that they're demonstrating. Highly competitive. I like the aggression from the Disciples of Death. They knew how important this match was. It was the last chance that Muertes gave them. And, they knew they were on thin ice. They were on the outskirts. You know what I'm saying? They needed more firm grounding, and they realized a win would get that done. Very competitive, great high-flying stuff from everybody, most of all Jack Evans. And what I like about Jack Evans, can I say this too? I love Fenix, right? I think he's cool. I'm loving the stuff he's doing this season. And PJ Black, he's good too. I wouldn't say I'm as much of a fan of him as Fenix, but he's still good in my book. But Jack Evans, man, he is one of the few guys I know that can actually work that Lucha Libre style and actually infuse a charisma independent of that into his work. I don't know. He just radiates. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know if I'm articulating this properly, but he's such a character, I think is what I'm getting at.
That's what it
even
is.
In the ring.
It's the character. Because, like, it's hard to believe anything but that Jack Evans is an arrogant, conceited douchebag even in real life. He's that convincing.
Exactly. It's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, the moment that he stopped Fenix from doing it out because he wanted to take care of business, I'm like, that's gold. You know, and the crazy thing is, they win. I mean, these guys beat the Disciples of Death, Ashton, and they move on, and Catrina is just looking shocked. I'm shocked only because I know the Disciples of Death have never really been a credible team. I mean, that's something that you kind of jumped on.
Yeah, and
even
tonight, they lost to another dysfunctional team.
Exactly. All because Catrina really didn't get involved. And that's the difference. I mean, that really illustrates to you that these guys cannot get it done unless Catrina gets involved, unless they are against a team that's comprised of people that you already kind of associate as lower on the card. Because in their debut, they beat Bengala, Mascarita Sagrada, and Pimpinela Escarlata. Yep. And yet none of those guys really scream that main event or even that upper mid-card level.
Right.
You know?
They were all basically like novelty acts in the temple.
Exactly. And that's really how the Disciples of Death should be. Well, maybe not after what we got later, which we'll get to. But, you know, after this loss, if you had assumed, okay, they're just moving on to the next one, to me, they'd be a novelty act because, oh, look at the cool masks and they're all death-like. But really, that's really all it was. And that's not saying that the work that they don't do in the ring, I mean, it's excellent. But if we're talking like kayfabe, what's the credibility of this and that? It's just not there, you know, because they just can't get it done. So, but very happy with this result, though. I can't wait to see what they do next week. And again, giving a little bit of a hint there, but we'll get into that big announcement later.
Absolutely, yeah. This was such a good match, so much fun. The tag teasing that went on between Team Flippy Shit, I'm just going to call them, between, you know, Fenix, PJ, and Jack Evans was amazing. I love how, you know, we would have Fenix getting ready to get tagged, and then like PJ Black would like block him and tag Jack Evans instead. And then like even early on in the match, PJ Black was trying to tag both of them. And Fenix, I don't even know what was going on with Fenix, but I think it was just that that was what it was. Fenix wanted to tag, but PJ didn't want to tag him. He wanted to tag Jack Evans, but Jack Evans, I guess, wasn't ready to be tagged in yet. So like, there was just so much tag shenanigans going on that side, and it was great. And yet they still managed to pull out the win. I believe it was Fenix who got the pin on Barrio Negro.
Yeah, I think it was a springboard 450 splash.
Yeah, it was, and it was, and it was an awesome sequence too, because I believe Siniestro De La Muerte and Trece were on the outside, and PJ Black did a dive over the top rope with his hand outstretched, allowing Fenix to tag him in, or allowing Fenix to tag himself in. And then Jack Evans was just like, whoa, back off, Fenix. I'm getting my shit in too. And then he does a springboard dive over the top rope too.
Jack Evans is so important.
He's so good too.
It is. I mean, dude, those tags that they made, like I said, if they could get their communication in check, that was some next level tag team wrestling. And
these
the
guys
funny thing
are dangerous.
Yeah, they are. And that's the thing, dude. We've been talking about, I mean, this has mainly been a talking point of yours, how Dario Cueto is trying to force Lightning to strike twice, you know, doing this
odd pairing stuff. I think he might have finally built himself a lightning rod, because this might be the team to do it.
This is the closest team that could parallel Team Havoc, because I think he's only done really 2 mixed up teams. And
although it really wouldn't feel that dysfunctional though, because like Jack Evans and PJ Black were already a de facto team before this happened.
That is a good point.
Although I guess you could say in a roundabout way, Havoc and Ivelisse were also in that boat, but they had just recently broken up when Cueto put them together.
Right. And the thing is, I think Cueto was more banking on, Fenix is of this kind of disposition, he's so beloved, and yet with PJ Black and Jack Evans, there's like a collective arrogance there. I mean, Jack Evans alone, my God, we could spend this whole show talking about his ego. And, you know, how are they going to work together? And they work together beautifully. Their biggest problem was really who's going to take the tag, and honestly, those problems I don't think ever got pronounced to the point where it inhibited their match progress. Because, I mean,
No.
yeah, the Disciples of Death had their moments of control, but to me, you know, PJ Black, Jack Evans, and Fenix, they barely lost it. You know, it's like they kept a consistent hold on it.
Yep.
Honestly, I'm kind of rooting for this team next week if you want me to level
they're
with
fun.
you.
They're a lot of fun.
They're a lot of fun. I agree, man.
And it's also kind of worth noting, I don't know if this means anything or if it was intentional or if it's just a funny little headcanon that I came up with. Today was Trese's birthday because it's the 13th.
Yeah.
It's not even the 13th of the month. It's just the 13th episode, and I'm just kind of going along with that.
Yeah, and you know what? This reminds me too, especially considering the two major announcements that we got and the whole finish to the main event that we got, which we'll get to. Yeah. Crazy that this is the mid-season finale, I guess, of Lucha Underground. It's 26 episode season. This is episode 13.
Yeah. Oh, dang, man, that's depressing.
Yeah, man, we're really getting through these episodes now, and I don't ever want it to be over.
I know. Yeah, I mean,
so fucking good.
I guess the best news that I could possibly give you is that season 3 is already halfway through taping, if not more than that.
Yeah, really, they're going through it pretty fast because it's, you know, it's going to air sometime, and we know, again, that season 3 is at least confirmed, so we don't have to have that anxiousness. We can just sit back and, you know, take it all in, and yeah, this match,
dude, I'm telling you, I think the
excellent.
smartest possible time for Lucha Underground to air season 3 is during that fall period when people hate WWE's product.
Yeah, man.
Like, if you start airing season 3 in September, all the eyes will be on your product because WWE is going to be straight garbage.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of crossover viewership, you know, people coming from the usual consistent WWE watching to checking out Lucha Underground. Because,
well, and even if they're not finding it on their own, there are going to be a lot of people online complaining about how awful WWE is, and then that's when us Lucha evangelists can come in and be like, hey, man, it's okay. Not all wrestling is bad. Check out this product.
Yeah, and word of mouth has been incredibly powerful for Lucha Underground because I know I've shared stories with you guys about friends that have gotten friends or family or whatever to watch it. I've had my own experiences. Ashley, I know you've had your own experience. You know, it's working, and it's the best kind of advertising, you know. No money needed, just put out a great product and the people will follow, and that's been the case with Lucha Underground. When you get matches like this, which, by the way, the brilliance of this match is it accomplished multiple objectives. I mean, the one, advancing Fenix, PJ Black, and Jack Evans in the Trios tournament, and the second one we'll get to. But I love how layered a match can be, and it's not just the surface value you need to be concerned with. Like, what are going to be the aftershocks of the outcome? And, you know, that was certainly a legitimate question tonight, and the answer we got was very interesting.
I think that's a big part of what made tonight's episode so special, too, is because all 3 matches had very real storyline implications.
Yes, completely agree with you.
All right, that being said, moving on. Up next, we had Ivelisse, Son of Havoc, and Angelico, the unlikely trio, in Dario Cueto's office. And he announces that next week, we will be getting a 4-way elimination tag team match. But it's not tag team, trios match. It's going to be Son of Havoc, Ivelisse, and Angelico versus Fenix, Jack Evans, and PJ Black versus, help me out here, John, what are the other teams?
Joey Ryan, Cortez Castro, and Mr. Cisco.
Versus, who's the last team?
Rey Mysterio, El Drago
that's right.
Jr., and Prince Puma.
And Puma, yep. So that's an elimination match where the winner walks away trios champions.
You know what, Ashton? We're officially at this match. First of all, this match is going to be insane because so many people were raving about the trios match. What was it, last week with Mundo, Taya, and Cage, and Puma, El Dragon Azteca Jr., and Rey Mysterio?
Yeah.
People were raving about that match all over my Twitter, man. Like, I was seeing that
awesome.
Was great. Match of the year candidate, I heard some people say. Like, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, as a Mundo fan, I got my fix in a major way. Those were 2 amazing teams. You've got 4 great teams here, because even if you want to look at, and this is going to be my big thing that I'm getting to, Mr. Cisco, Cortez Castro, and Joey Ryan, you know, I said that my heart is pulling for Fenix, Jack Evans, and PJ Black. I actually think Mr. Cisco, Cortez Castro, and they might win this thing. Joey Ryan, they might win this thing. I'm actually, they're my prediction. I think they're going to win the trios titles.
I'm putting all of my chips on the table for the dream team. Puma and Mysterio and El Dragon Azteca Jr. Like, those guys, I mean, look at the Lucha Libre World Cup. Look at what they were able to do when it was just Rey and Mystico and El Patron, and then replace the two jobbers on that team with Prince Puma and El Dragon Azteca. And yeah, this is the ultimate Lucha dream team right here.
And here's the crazy thing, dude. Like, every team to me in this thing has a viable shot of winning it because Rey Mysterio, El Dragon Azteca Jr., Prince Puma, they are the reason in themselves. That is so fucking OP. It's almost ridiculous.
Well, I mean, we've already seen, dude, Prince Puma is capable of taking on all three Disciples of Death by himself.
Exactly. So
we've seen that happen.
Exactly. So you've got that team. You've got PJ Black, Jack Evans, and Fenix. Again, a team that I think if they could just iron out their stuff, three incredibly talented people.
What, though? I think they're almost more entertaining if they don't iron out their stuff.
Yeah, that's very true. Oh my God, yeah. They are so much more entertaining because then Jack Evans makes it all about him and he is just so freaking good. I always know I get into the stuff with Caltech Star about Jack Evans, but on the real, like, I freaking love this guy. Like, I keep saying it in promotions everywhere. This is the era of heels, people. I have never seen a better crop of heels, just worldwide in wrestling with all the promotions we watch than what we've got right now. I love this shit so much. You've got the champions, Team Havoc, very credible champions. They've ironed out their stuff. They've actually had growth together as a team. Yep. Beautiful stuff. And the reason why I'm picking, though, and this is why I saved them for last, Joey Ryan, Mr. Cisco, and Cortez Castro. Remember, Officer Vasquez said Cortez Castro and Joey Ryan, they had to win. She wanted them to win because if they have power, if they have those trios titles, Cueto's going to have more of an eye on you. He's going to bring you more into the fold, and that whole investigation, and especially considering what we got tonight, which, again, we'll get to, I think there is a greater sense of urgency now, a more pressing need for this team to win the Trios Championship. So,
I know that, dude, but just from a storyline standpoint, Joey Ryan and Cortez Castro aren't that good of wrestlers.
That is true.
Those guys are cops first, wrestlers second. Wrestling is basically their cover. And I don't think that it would be fair, storyline-wise even, for a couple of cops and one wrestler to beat three teams full of wrestlers.
Here's the way I see this team, and this is just the honest truth. They're in that position to me where they very easily could be the first team eliminated, given the reasons you gave. But if they're not the first team eliminated, I just have that gut feeling you go all the way. If you somehow...
I think that there's a possibility that the team of Fenix, Black, and Evans could be the first team eliminated because of a miscommunication.
Right.
And then you could see the Crew and Joey Ryan get eliminated because they're just outclassed by the other two teams.
I just wouldn't want to see people make it. I could totally understand why people would, even if you're, one of them, Ashton. I don't feel comfortable, kind of assuming that the two teams being that it's going to come down to Team Havoc and then Rey, Puma, and other.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't want to jump to that conclusion because it feels so much like a foregone conclusion, right? Like you could just say it because it just seems so obvious on paper. But
yeah, I mean, maybe we'll get some kind of a swerve or something. I don't know.
Maybe dude. That's why I'm so hooked though for next week because any team in my mind could walk away with those championships. Hell, for all
I
we
think
know,
that my question though is like, if the dream team does lose, who on that team eats a pin from anyone?
Dude, maybe Puma.
Yeah, I mean, it would almost have to be. I don't know, though. I mean, they protect him really well.
Maybe El Dragon Azteca Jr. Notice, though, I'm not even bringing Rey in the conversation because no way in hell is he in the pin.
Right, exactly.
Like, I mean, it was one thing to do it for Matanza because it's freaking Matanza, and narrative-wise, it was a big fucking deal. Yeah. But, yeah, Rey ain't eating the pin from anybody, I don't think, anytime soon that isn't that abomination of just wonderful destruction. So, yeah, probably El Dragon Azteca, because he's the student still. He's still under the tutelage. I feel like Puma kind of graduated because he's on his own.
I don't see any of them eating the pin. I think they're winning. I'm calling them to win.
So you're calling them to win. I'm going with the weird pick of Cisco, Castro, and Joey Ryan. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Up next. Oh, man. Up next. Let me tell you, John.
Tell me, brother.
We are in the locker room with the Disciples of Death. And Catrina shows up behind them and then teleports in front of them while she's mid-speech.
Yeah.
And she demands that they give her one good reason not to destroy all three of them.
Yeah,
And,
she is enraged.
Oh, yeah. And El Siniestro de la Muerte is apparently the strongest and most psychotic of the three because he proceeds to give Catrina 2 reasons why she shouldn't destroy all 3 of them by destroying the other 2, literally ripping out their hearts.
Yeah, and I love that you phrased it that way, Ashton, that he gave her 2 reasons, because that's exactly what it was. I think Sinestro interpreted the situation, okay, this is my chance to show strength.
Yeah.
If she sees that I'm willing to cannibalize the other 2 people, in a metaphorical sense.
Well, and you know what,
turn
too?
on my own.
And like, he powered up from this, but it makes so much sense. Because, I mean, the other 2 guys feel more like minions, but Siniestro de la Muerte feels like Mil Muertes' disciple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because 13 stands for 13. Barrio Negro just stands for, I guess, black neighborhood, I guess. But like, those are both kind of ominous, but they're both also, for the most part, they could be harmless. Siniestro de la Muerte literally stands for sinister death. You can't turn that into something harmless.
No, you can't.
And I mean, Mil Muertes, Siniestro de la Muerte, they both have death in their names.
Right. So, it almost seems like Sinestro's kind of a natural successor to Mil Muertes, or,
Exactly.
kind of that understudy, like you said, the disciple.
Well, and they're really called the Disciples of Death. Maybe they'll just call Siniestro de la Muerte the Disciple of Death.
And you made a very interesting prediction in the course of this segment. I don't know if it was just you kind of, popping, kind of exclaiming at the sight we just saw, but I believe you said that you felt like Sinestro was going to win an Aztec medallion now, be one of those surprise kind of entrants.
Well, here's my thing. Like, we've kind of established Mil is the heavyweight in the group. So right. I think that sort of the next step under the world title is the Gift of the Gods title. And I think that and by them, I mean Mil and Catrina, are going to want Siniestro de la Muerte to at least try to get that Gift of the Gods title. And I mean, they might even be like, okay, now that you won it, you have to lose it to Mil. But I think they're going to want him to at least try to win that. And I think that with his newfound power, he's going to want to show that off, and I think he will win it. Maybe not the Gift of the Gods, but at least a medallion to get into the Gift of the Gods 7-way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I hate to ask you a weird question, but I do it with a purpose. Do you remember in the one segment, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks back, when the Disciples, first lost the belts, and Mil was very angry with them, and he did something about it? Was Sinestro the one that actually tried taking a shot at Mil?
Yeah.
Because it definitely shows how they've made Sinestro distinct from the other 2.
Yeah, he is clearly the strongest of the 3. And if you didn't believe that or weren't convinced of that before this episode, let me introduce you to these 2 disembodied hearts.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't want to look too much into it, but you figure he was the guy that actually had enough spine to try and take a shot at Mil Muertes, maybe out of self-preservation, whatever. He's the guy that immediately thinks turning on both of his teammates and ripping their hearts out, whether it's taking their energy or just showing Catrina, this is the length that I'm willing to go to stay in your good graces. There's a personality going on here. It's weird because I think always is going to be like a mindless minion of sorts, but I think there's got to be some kind of a current of an identity or personality going on here. Well, I just get this weird vibe from Sinestro, but I dig it though. I dig it.
I think that he is just kind of the de facto leader, or was the leader of the group, and I guess that he was kind of given the role of leader because he is kind of more powerful and more ambitious, I guess you could say, than the other 2 ever were.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he thinks more of himself.
Yeah, exactly.
He's more prideful. He's more ambitious. He is more eager to please Mil than the other 2 were.
Exactly, and you could see that in his actions, especially the whole, you saying prideful and ambitious. Him striking Mil Muertes, I mean, that's his pride showing. And now him turning on these 2 guys, that is ambition because he's saying, no, I realize the power that death gives me. I don't want to lose a hold of it. It still feels good. I could still do more with it. So I'll just kill these 2 useless guys and just absorb their power. Yep. And you know what? Sinestro may be even stronger now. He may just win a medallion, and then that's going to be a very interesting development, to say the least.
I'm really curious, because that's kind of the direction that I think that they're going to go with this. Because now, not only is he by himself, but we've already seen what happened with Mil when he got a power-up, and now Siniestro de la Muerte has a power-up, and I think that that's the best logical conclusion for his character.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree.
All right, so now, up next, Catrina accompanies Mil Muertes to the ring. It's main event time.
Oh my god.
This was such a slugfest.
I loved, and I said it multiple times throughout live reactions, it felt like a legitimate brawl. I think sometimes
it felt like a freaking main event match if I've ever seen one.
It really did. Like, it really did. You know, the rumble in the jungle, as they say. Like, it was, things were going down, man. They were dropping haymakers on each other, dropping bombs, and just going all out. This felt like a big heavyweight title fight, and for good reason. You had two behemoths colliding for the gold of the temple, you know, the world title. And
two of the only guys in the temple over 6 feet, and two of the very, very few guys in the temple over 250 pounds.
And the thing is, I mean, these guys went in there and they worked it, because not only was it just dropping bombs and just fight. Yeah, what were we going to say?
Oh, yeah, dude, it's funny because I forgot, but they're not both over 6 feet. Matanza, I mean, the guy that plays Matanza, at least, is only 5'10", so... And I think that's worth noting, too, because when we saw them face-to-face in the ring, Matanza looked taller than Mil. So they're doing something with maybe lifts in the boots or something going on there, because Matanza looked, despite the guy playing Matanza being 3 inches shorter than Mil Muertes, he looked at least a few quarters of an inch taller than Mil.
Yeah, I agree. It's crazy. And the thing is, like, what I loved about how they worked this match, it wasn't just punches and chops and being aggressive that way, although honestly, given these two, I probably would have been fine with that, with the way they throw punches and stuff. But you had legitimate athleticism in this match. And you mean you had Mil Muertes at one point. Yeah.
No, I think you were going to say what I'm about to say.
Yeah, Mil Muertes did a suicide dive at one point.
That's not what I was going to say, but you are right. I remember the part that kind of caught me off guard was when Mil was in the corner and Matanza was charging after him, and Mil did that thing where he kind of lifts his legs up over Matanza to get past him.
Right.
Like, I never thought I'd see Mil be able to do that ever, because I don't think I've ever experienced somebody charging Mil in the corner, because it's always him doing that.
Right. And he also caught Matanza in that arm drag over the rope, which I thought looked really fluid. And like, these guys,
yeah.
I mean, you know, the bumps and things they took were crazy.
It was amazing because Mil actually felt like a match for Matanza, which is more credit for him than I thought he was going to get.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And probably the moment that made me pop, one, seeing Matanza do gut wrenches to Mil Muertes. And I know you probably weren't surprised because you were talking about how Matanza can hit Wrath of the Gods on a guy like Cage, you know, because you saw it from a clip elsewhere. So maybe the gut wrenches shouldn't be too surprising. But the thing is,
what's great, too, is that on that third gut wrench that he was going for, Mil found a way out and you know, countered it.
Yeah, landed on his feet. I mean, dude, these guys went in, man, and they did it, man.
It's incredible, dude. And the really ridiculous thing, too, is, like, you look at Matanza and you know he's a crazy athlete. Like, this dude can deadlift 300-pounders and can do a shooting star press. I don't think I need to say anything else. But Mil really impressed me in this match because he's doing suicide dives. This guy's in his 40s.
Amazing shape. You know, amazing conditioning, amazing athleticism, and these guys just went in there and they tore it up. I'm telling you, if you would have given those guys, in my mind, like 10 more minutes...
match of the night, match of the year candidate.
Oh my god, yeah, that could have been Ultima Lucha 2 main event, and I would have been satisfied. This was so good, and then you get to the finish, because they're fighting up in the stands, they're fighting among the believers, and you've got Mil to the point where, okay... I'm going to kill this guy. He tries throwing Matanza off the building. And I think Matanza tried doing the same to Mil. And it ends up, and this is how we get our non-finish. Because in WWE, you do that weak sauce shit. You do, a double count out, or, but neither guy can continue.
But that's the beautiful thing about Lucha Underground, is that all title matches are no count out, no DQ.
Yeah, there must be a winner. And I love that shit. I love that shit because it's the world title. You know, that's the kind of environment I think it should be contested.
I mean, when a couple of guys go through a roof, the ref can still call the match a no contest.
Exactly, and that's probably as legitimate a reason to call it a no contest as any.
Yeah, because like, they were brawling, they went up the steps, they were behind the crowd, they were in the crowd, they were on Dario Cueto's office roof, and then they went through Dario Cueto's office roof because Mil, being the madman that he is, first was trying to throw Matanza off the building, and he got really close a couple times, and then he said, you know what, this guy is resisting, it's too hard to throw someone off a building, I'll settle for hitting my finisher on him up here, and they fell through the freaking roof. This is the second time that Muertes has put somebody through a freaking roof. It just so happens that this time he went through with him.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, they've built up Matanza in such a way that I expected him to walk out the door.
I know,
covered in
dude.
dust
I
and
was
stuff.
totally expected to see him too, but no. But it got even crazier after though, because then, well, maybe not crazier, but it kept elevating, like escalating, because then we have Cueto and Catrina staring each other down from opposite sides of the temple. Cueto holds up the key. Catrina holds up the stone. Cueto yells war at Catrina. Like, this is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, this was tense.
Oh,
I mean,
my God.
honestly, to know that Mill can seem to hold his own against Matanza, I don't know what people are going to feel about that, but I loved it because this tells me that the god inhabiting the body that once was Matanza,
Yeah.
Ashton, I think you are too, because we've talked about it in the past in, personal conversation. You know how much I love Greek mythology.
Oh, yeah.
And this
Dude,
feels like
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, this feels like a bit of Greek mythology because the Greek gods and goddesses always were, despite their anthropomorphic nature, which actually made it make more sense.
I'm a big fan of Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, even like Norse mythology. I'm all about that stuff.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like, I love the humane qualities, it seems, that Matanza does, but it just feels very Greek mythology-esque, this
Dude,
whole
like I
Matanza
even
entity.
remember like back in the early 2000s when I was obsessed with Fire Emblem. Like
Yeah.
I would join role playing sites and I would name my characters off of like different cultures' gods. Like I remember looking up the name of a specific god of fire, and it was Hephaestus or something like that, and that was one of the names of my characters like over a decade ago. That's just like I've always been so intrigued by that stuff because it's like it almost was like a more kind of earthly version of Pokemon because it's like they have like all these elements and stuff like that, and I've always been really intrigued by that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and I just get that kind of a vibe when you see somebody like Matanza, and it's funny because what really brings the fight to him? The force of death, which I
Yep.
also find very funny.
Yep.
It's not just anybody; it's the living embodiment of death, and I ain't just talking about Katrina either.
Well,
or
and not only
Muertes.
that, as far as like mythology goes, but also somebody who matches up with him physically.
Yeah,
'Cause they are,
absolutely.
I mean, the Matanza character. I mean, I know the guy playing him is only 5'10", but you've got to assume the Matanza character is at least 6'1" or 6'2". He's listed at 263 pounds. Meanwhile, Mil Muertes is 6'1", 265. So these guys are almost exact duplicas of each other physically.
Exactly. And it makes for a very competitive, highly volatile match. And, when you have a finish such as, I'm going to flatliner you through a building.
Yeah.
See, now it's a sequel. It's the fucking sequel. Flatliner through a building.
I love, too, that, like, we can't say it without adding that emphasis. It can't just be, and then he flatlinered him through a building. No, it's through a building.
Yeah, you let people know it was through a fucking building.
Yeah.
Because anything else is just insufficient. So, yeah, I mean, this is one time. I think a no contest was executed brilliantly here. And this is really something, specifically in this season, because this is the same season where we got for the first time Prince Puma versus Pentagon, and we're thinking to ourselves, oh, how are they going to do the finish? I felt like that was a brilliant handling of it, and then I thought this was a brilliant handling of the situation. These guys, man, if that was a kind of pressure when you get big matches like this and you don't know how to do a finish, they handle that pressure beautifully if they're showing it, because goddamn, man.
They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
God, I love Lucha Underground. So then we get our final segment of the night, the post-credit scene. And I loved this because we see Captain Vasquez's big, like, almost like a what do you call it? Like a suspect board almost.
Yeah.
And you see all these missing posters where it's like Big Rick and Hernandez and who else was it, John? There
Blue
were
Demon
so
Jr.
many.
I thought I saw on there.
Blue Demon Jr. was on there for sure. Like Alberto El Patron was on there too, and like, oh, so many of these people, and we know how a couple of them died, specifically Big Rick. We know how he died. And I'm assuming Hernandez just decided to leave the temple because he was embarrassed after Believer's Backlash.
Right.
But yeah, like, and I just love that they're acknowledging that these guys aren't here anymore, but we can work that into our story too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I'm telling you, Lucha Underground, it's funny, and I may be articulating this in an improper way, and I apologize, but they let nothing go to waste.
Yeah.
They even find a utility for people that depart. It's like, oh, we can still exhaust something out of them. We can still get something out of their presence in the temple for the sake of our narrative.
Yep.
It's just so brilliant, dude. And here's the thing, like we've accused, often in the past, WWE and specifically Raw, because that's, the flagship show, they say so themselves, of being lazy or being apathetic. Lucha Underground is so attentive, they even ask the question, how can we use our departures? And they ask it legitimately, and they work it out legitimately.
Yep.
I am so impressed with this brand, dude.
I know.
Just amazing, man.
It's amazing. It's awesome.
And I'm telling you, Captain Vasquez feeling this pressure from somebody, saying after she's looking at her board, Boyle Heights, it's my territory. You might want to step off.
I didn't catch this guy's name, unfortunately. Did you?
I didn't catch it. I don't even, did he give his name? Because I don't feel like.
All I know is that he came in and accused her of stepping into his jurisdiction, and then she was just like, "You think I give a damn what the mayor has to say?" And the dude's just like, look, it's someone much more powerful than the mayor. You need to drop the case against Cueto.
Exactly. Which, what can it be? The president of Mexico? Higher than that? Dario Cueto is a man of opulence. And
I'm telling you, man, the freaking CIA.
I'll tell you, it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me.
The Luchaverse version of the CIA, whatever that means.
Yeah, the Luchaverse version of the CIA would not surprise me, because I could totally see them in bed with Dario Cueto because of his opulence, because of his, family name and his history, because they've probably gathered intel on him too, and they may just be like, Vasquez, you don't want to know what's beyond the veil, because it could be very dangerous shit. There's Matanza already, for God's sakes, but how much don't we know?
Yeah.
And that's the question you have to keep asking yourself. See, it's funny, because Lucha Underground works in such a brilliant way. Obviously, we all want to put it together. We want to put the story together. But we can never just go off of purely what we do know. There's always that question of what don't we know about anybody. And Dario Cueto is one of the central figures of that. Just amazing what they tease out every week. So, yeah, Vasquez is really in a tight bind. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if next week one of the first things that we get for the episode would be a cinematic vignette. Officer Vasquez convening with Joey Ryan and Cortez Castro, saying, all right, you guys are competing for the trio titles. You need to win. They're on my ass about this, so I need you to get something. So they may need to expedite the investigation, and the only way you do that is by making progress at a quicker rate. I'm telling you, dude, I'm picking these guys to win next week, because I think Officer Vasquez is really going to come down on their ass.
Yeah, dude. First of all, I want to know what they were investigating regarding Cueto before the murder of Bale, because they were already investigating him way before Bale was ever killed. So I want to know what the charges against him were originally before that happened.
Exactly. How long have you been keeping these tabs?
What kind of illegal activities has Cueto been up to that led to him being investigated by legit undercover cops?
Exactly. This is
how many layers deep does that go?
Exactly. And it only gets deeper with Cortez Castro reporting to Officer Vasquez. Sure, Joey Ryan, but Cortez Castro's been on the inside from the word go. And, when you learn about Matanza, when you learn about, Cueto's back in the temple and this and that, and I still worry for Castro and Joey Ryan. I still think they're in dangerous territory. I think I made a prediction to you in our Luchador Spotlight, potentially, that I thought Castro might even die at the end of this season. Because, this was, again, the mid-season finale tonight, and so far they haven't been found out. But, clearly there's pressure on Vasquez now, so how long before that affects the rest of the investigation? So I can't even just think about Trios Championships and stuff like that, because even if they do get closer, even if they do make progress, it's not isolated anymore. It's not in a vacuum anymore, just these guys doing their investigation, hoping Cueto doesn't find out. There are higher-ups onto Vasquez saying, hey, pull the plug. And if she doesn't, who's going to come in to do it for her?
Yep.
telling you, man, it's getting tense around here.
I wonder if she's going to turn out to be an in-ring competitor.
You think so?
Well, no, like that never crossed my mind before, but I just wonder if, even if it's not in the ring, I wonder if we're going to see her in the temple at all.
You know, dude, we may, because honestly, with this pressure she's got on her, you know, get out of my jurisdiction, this and that, she may feel like there's too much red tape, you know, from other bureaucracies and stuff, and it may be one of those situations, okay, the best thing to do is to do it yourself. Like, you can't outsource it to anybody, you can't leave it to these agents, you know, there's always a trail with paperwork. The best way not to leave a trail and to get what I want is just go in and do it myself and not answer anybody. You know, better to ask for forgiveness than permission kind of thing. So, yeah, she may go underground, you know, literally and metaphorically, and, you know, just kind of do this herself. Because she's like, well, they're on my ass. I'll take care of it myself then. So that's a very good point.
Yep. Oh, man, this was such a good episode. Let's move on, though.
All right, our next segment, high spots and low shots. I'm going to say that my low shot is Drago, because he was in the medallion match of the night, and it was one-on-one against Aero Star. You know, it wasn't one of those crazy multi-man matches, and it's a guy he knew very well, and yet he just wasn't able to put it together. He lost tonight, and so for the moment, because I don't think he'll be getting a second chance, he's out of Ultimate Lucha 2, at least as far as the Gift of the Gods is concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he had a not a great night, but I have two low shots, and you know, they're dead now. Because I'm pretty sure Trece and Barrio Negro had slightly worse nights than Drago.
Yeah, I love how in your tone you're pretty much saying, yeah, John, your low shot was cute, but, you know, he still has a life.
Yeah, I mean, he's still breathing.
Exactly.
His heart is still in his chest.
Yeah, exactly.
And functioning. That's assuming dragons' hearts are in their chest. It might be like in their butts or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we got to know the physiology. You know what I'm saying? It's it could be quite different.
I wonder how many hearts a dragon has.
I'm gonna guess 2. I'm gonna guess 2 hearts are going on.
Maybe it's possible. I mean, we know that like cows have multiple chamber stomachs and stuff like that. So maybe dragons have more than one heart.
Yeah, there you go.
Got to keep that blood pumping.
Exactly. All right, my high spot, and I'm going to relish in this one because I'm feeling great today. Johnny Mundo, baby. Because not only did he have the best segment on the show, because his presence is the best segment on the show, but it was to be announced that he's getting an Aztec medallion matchup, and he gets to put that fucking loser in his place next week in a steel cage. So I'm fucking tops right now, okay? Like, I am on the highest cloud, and I ain't coming down for anybody. Johnny Mundo going to Ultima Lucha 2, Gift of the Gods, and yes, I'm fully aware that if Cage does win, I'll probably cry about it, but that's not going to happen, so I have nothing to worry about. So Mundo's my high spot.
You know what? I love that, and you know, it might be a little bit biased, but I still think that it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
My honorary high spot goes to Aero Star because he won an Aztec medallion tonight, and he is getting much more character sort of exposition this season than he did last year to make us care more about him.
Yeah, great pick.
But my actual high spot goes to the man that reached his final form tonight, Siniestro De La Muerte.
Oh, man. You know, and it was funny because if it was just the one heart, he would have been semi-perfect Sinestro.
Yeah.
But he got both, so he was able to complete that evolution. I mean, holy fuck.
I can't tell if he's perfect Cell or the perfectly ultimate Great Moth, but either way, I know that I'm a nerd.
Yeah, you revel in it. But yeah, I do agree. You know, Sinestro definitely leveled up, not once but twice. His HP has got to be ridiculous at this point.
Did you just say HP with an English accent?
Cool Whip. So
Triple H.
Triple H. But yeah, you know, very happy for Sinestro. He's definitely staying alive. You know, quite literally, as a matter of fact. So good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so you have any concluding remarks?
Just thank you. Thank you to everyone that is a part of the Lucha Underground staff, whether it's the writers, the workers, the producers, the director, whatever. Thank you to the El Rey Network. Thank you to just everyone involved in this amazing project, because it is the best thing that has happened to pro wrestling arguably ever.
I co-sign onto that 1,000,000%. Thank you so much to the hardest and smartest working crew in pro wrestling today. And with that said, guys, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what question you have for our subscribers this week?
Who do you think is walking away from next week's show Trios Champions?
I love it. I love it. You got 4 teams to choose from, guys. Get that conversation started down in the comments. Talk to us, talk to us, talk to us. Be sure to take that conversation over to Pweetoff. That is Pro Wrestling is taking over Facebook. I've said it once. I've said it 1,000 times. The Lucha Underground fandom over there grows by the week. Got so many people that love the brand. Also, be sure to check out the TWitWoW Facebook page. Like, share, and comment on the content there. If Facebook isn't your medium of choice, we do have a TWitWoW subreddit. Yes, we are on Reddit. Members of the subreddit can create threads on all things related to pro wrestling, and you can find all of our TWitWoW content on there. But if you want the best possible experience, you guys should know by now, you can follow both of us on Twitter. I am at John_TWitWoW, JOHN. Ashton is at apond404. That's the letter A, pond, the body of water, POND 404. And we will see you all again for our NXT review, where you've wanted it, you've waited for it, and the anticipation is over, because tonight is the debut of No Way Jose. No Way Jose. Tune in and peace out.